Welcome to In the News with Double Des. I'm Des Bernardo, giving you my perspective on news from South Africa and the rest of the world. So seeing that Lamola has made an absolute fool of himself, it seems like some people have taken him to task even further. I mean, I had taken him to task earlier this morning and that video has really gone wild, and for good reason. And on News 24 now, there's an explainer where they say exactly what I said, that people cannot be forced to wear a mask, and that he actually contradicted himself in his statements. And they have an explainer on News 24, and I'll put this explainer, the link to the article, underneath this video in the description. Is not wearing a mask a criminal offense? So they put out a question. After they put out the previous article themselves, not questioning what this person had actually said. And it says here, Justice Minister Lamola said it was a criminal offense to not wear a mask in public, which is nonsense. 3 law experts, however, say only people who are responsible for premises can be prosecuted if they allow people to enter without masks, which is a completely different story. And I said that he had corrected himself later after starting the fear-mongering earlier. People can be denied access if they do not wear a mask. Now, I've covered this at length in the past. I've said that on any premises where you have to wear a mask, that business can decide whether you are allowed access or not. It's their premises. And if government compels them to do so and they choose to enforce that, there's nothing you can do. You cannot force them to allow you inside if you're not wearing a mask. But this is about us being able to walk around in public without other people around with a mask on. So let's continue. Justice Minister Lamola caused confusion on Monday when he said that not wearing a mask is a criminal offense under the amended Level 3 lockdown regulations. But he added that the onus was on compliance officers such as store managers, building owners, and managers to ensure everyone entering their premises wears a mask. He did correct that at the end, obviously, because I discussed that with you. Based on everything else he said before, he said that we will be criminals if we don't wear a mask in public. 3 South African legal experts agree that South African citizens cannot be criminally charged for not wearing a mask under the amended regulations. However, entry to a building or stores can be denied to those who do not wear masks. 100% correct. I fully agree with that, and I've stated this before. And I've made that clear to you that one gentleman that went into the shop and insisted that he doesn't have to wear a mask inside the shop, he was wrong. And I made clear why he was wrong. Northwest University law professor Elmine du Plessis told News 24, and I quote, "The problem comes in when the utterances made by the minister do not reflect what is stated in the regulations." Close quote. So he doesn't know his own regulations. This is the problem, and this is why we need direct elections, because we currently have parties that are choosing our leaders for us, they are choosing our president for us, and they are putting utter incompetent people into positions of power, and we cannot allow this. I continue with a quote. This is Elmine du Plessis. "When the ministers say it is an offense when it is not, it can lead to confusion and a situation where the people who enforce the laws act on discretion or a misunderstanding of what the law is. This undermines the rule of law." Close quote. She's 100% correct. Because what happens is that police, they hear these utterances and then they just start acting when they don't know the law themselves. And based on what they've done in the past, they have proven that they don't understand or know the law. They get told by the station commander what to do and they just follow orders. Just remember that I made clear that if the police gives you an order, even if it's not correct, if you don't follow it, they will see you as committing a level 1 criminal offense. And then they can arrest you. So don't fall into that trap. Be very careful. The moment they give you an instruction, in other words, they tell you put on your mask when in public or whatever, and you don't do it, then they can say you're not obeying what a police officer says, and then it becomes a level 1 criminal offense, and it changes everything. You're getting arrested for not listening to the police instead of for not wearing a mask. So don't fall into that trap. In his blog, Constitutionally Speaking, University of Cape Town's constitutional law expert Pierre de Vos wrote that the new regulations still did not criminalize an individual's failure to wear a mask in public. However, under the new regulations, the obligation was on a driver or operator of any form of public transport, a manager or owner of a building, an employer, and a school principal to ensure that anyone entering the spaces over which they have authority wears a mask. So this is actually what the regulation states. Speaking to News 24, De Vos said Lamola erred. In other words, he was wrong when he said no, not wearing a mask was a criminal offense, because it would only be a criminal offense for building managers, etc., to allow people into their spaces when they are not wearing masks. So this is why when you go to a business now, they are going to ensure that you wear a mask when you enter. I quote, this is Pierre de Vos that I'm quoting now. Think of it like any other rules you regularly obey without a criminal sanction attached, like the rule against loud noise in the library, or a rule of the body corporate that disallows large dogs in the complex. Close quote, De Vos said. University of the Western Cape criminal law professor Cherith Sanger told News 24 that South African criminal law requires that any law should specifically state that the relevant conduct constitutes a crime. None of these regulations are a crime. None of them. The High Court has ruled on that. I want to make that blatantly clear. And what the parameters of the punishment for the crime are. So they need to say that what you're doing, if you walk out your front door and you don't wear a mask, that it's a crime, and that the punishment is 6 months imprisonment or a fine of X amount of money or whatever. The regulations on mask wearing don't. So it's not a criminal offense. Nothing. There is no such thing. This means that because it is not stipulated as a criminal offense, it is just a rule someone needs to obey, and an individual cannot be charged for not complying. That's a very good way of stating it, because I did a video on why laws are made to be broken. And there's a very specific reason for that. The same with regulations. We have a right to not believe in a specific regulation. But they are forcing businesses to enforce the wearing of masks within their premises, and that business has a right to protect themselves and their businesses continuing operation by enforcing people wearing masks when they enter. So if you don't want to support a business that where they force you to wear a mask, you must try and find one that doesn't. And they stand a risk under the regulations of being fined because they are running a business. This is not an individual walking around in public. The police said it was a criminal offense if someone, such as a driver or operator of public transport, manager or owner of a building, employer or principal, did not ensure people entering or using their premises wore a mask, because the amended regulations made it explicitly compulsory for people to wear masks that cover their noses and mouths in public spaces. But we as the public don't have to follow that. These are businesses and institutions, so they are holding senior people responsible. De Vos said, if those responsible for ensuring mask wearing fail to do so, they could be fined or imprisoned for a period not exceeding 6 months or both. Okay? This is actually the case. When will someone be allowed to not wear a mask? De Vos said, public places including workplaces, funerals, parks, churches, casinos, and supermarkets. De Vos said, the only place you are not required to wear a mask is in a private place. De Vos said the amended regulations also allow people who engage in vigorous exercise to remove their masks, but as soon as they approach another person, they are required to put on a mask. Now, this is just simple common sense. When you're walking out in nature, why on earth should you wear a mask? It makes no sense. It's madness. Sanger added that the amended regulations stated that the health minister was responsible for defining what vigorous exercise was. Wow. I quote, a person who removes her or his mask whilst engaging in vigorous exercise will be required to practice social distancing of at least 3 meters with any other person. Close quote, Sanger said. That's the end of the article. So if you want to exercise, vigorous exercise, whatever that is, and the health minister hasn't defined it because he has no cooking clue what to actually call that, you must stay 3 meters away from someone else. So when you go into a park or whatever, don't wear your mask. Just stay 3 meters away from the other person and there should be absolutely no issues. You can walk around in public without a mask on. This absolute madness to think that you have to wear a mask when you're outside. No police is going to arrest you or do anything to you because there is no law that states that you must do that. None whatsoever that's going to give you any kind of a criminal record or get you arrested or anything like that. I thank you for subscribing to this channel. I thank you for sharing the videos. Click the bell icon to get notifications for all of you that are new. And for those of you that have not yet gone to the group, #DirectElections, to support that cause, go to the group. It's grown to 5,000 people within a day. That's immense growth since I started that group. I really thank you for that support. And thank you for supporting me on this channel. I will make more videos this afternoon. I'll be at a meeting at 1 o'clock. I'm really looking forward to that. And once again, keep on advertising. #DirectElections wherever you can. Use the hashtag everywhere on social media. Go and make stickers, t-shirts, caps, masks. Put #DirectElections on there. Thank you very much.